Saquon Barkley. Even if you're not a Giants fan, chances are you've seen one of his highlight runs pop up on your timeline. A spin move that breaks ankles, a hurdle that looks like something out of Madden, or just pure acceleration leaving defenders in the dust. Chapter 1. The Origins of a Freak Athlete. Let's rewind the tape. Saquon was born in the Bronx, but his family eventually moved to Pennsylvania, where he grew up. And here's the thing. Saquon wasn't just a football kid. He was the kind of athlete who was good at literally everything. Track, explosive sprinter, basketball, dunking with ease. But where he really started making noise was in the weight room. By his freshman year at Penn State, this dude was squatting 600 pounds. 600 pounds. As a teenager, the clip of him doing it went viral. His legs shaking under the weight, teammates screaming in the background. And instantly the legend of Saquon Barkley started to spread. Now, to put that in perspective, there are NFL linemen, professional powerlifters who can't move that kind of weight. And here was Saquon, just a kid, repping it out like it was nothing. It wasn't. But here's the thing. Saquon wasn't just hyped up as a good running back. He was hyped as a generational player. The kind of talent that only comes around once every 10 or 15 years. So the question is, did he actually live up to that hype? Or was he just another case of what could have been? Today we're breaking down the Saquon Barkley story, from his insane college dominance, to his rise in the NFL, to the injuries, the setbacks, the comebacks, and the bigger question about what his career really means in the modern NFL. And hey, as we go through this, I want to hear from you. What do you rank Saquon among the great running backs of his era? Top 5? Top 10? Or do you think he's more of a highlight reel player than a consistent superstar? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this one's going to spark some debate. Chapter 1. The Origins of a Freak Athlete. Let's rewind the tape. Saquon was born in the Bronx, but his family eventually moved to Pennsylvania, where he grew up. And here's the thing. Saquon wasn't just a football kid. He was the kind of athlete who was good at literally everything. Track, explosive sprinter, basketball, dunking with ease. But where he really started making noise was in the weight room. By his freshman year at Penn State, this dude was squatting 600 pounds. 600 pounds. As a teenager, the clip of him doing it went viral. His legs shaking under the weight, teammates screaming in the background. And instantly the legend of Saquon Barkley started to spread. Now, to put that in perspective, there are NFL linemen, professional powerlifters who can't move that kind of weight. And here is Saquon, just a kid, repping it out like it was nothing. It wasn't just brute strength, though. It was explosiveness. Coaches at Penn State would say that his first step was unlike anything they'd ever seen. He wasn't just strong. He was spring-loaded. And off the field, humble, soft-spoken, the kind of guy who didn't talk trash, didn't seek attention. That combination, freakish athleticism and a grounded personality, it made people root for him instantly. So let me throw this question at you. If someone has the natural gifts that Saquon had, does that automatically guarantee NFL greatness? Or is it more about where you land, the system you play in, the team around you? Think about guys like Barry Sanders, generational talent, but stuck on a Lions team that never gave him a shot at a ring. Or on the flip side, guys like Emmitt Smith, who played behind maybe the greatest offensive line ever. Talent matters, but context? Context is everything. Quarterback. And looking back, this is where the story of Saquon becomes even more interesting. Because it wasn't just about how good he was. It was about what the Giants expected him to be. When you take a running back that high, you're saying, this guy isn't just a player, he's a franchise changer. Chapter 4. The Rookie Explosion. And in 2018, Saquon Barkley lived up to every ounce of hype. Over 2,000 total yards from scrimmage. 91 receptions, the most ever by a rookie running back. 15 total touchdowns. Offensive Rookie of the Year. Every week it felt like Saquon was on SportsCenter's top 10. The spin moves, the hurdles, the 60-yard touchdown runs. It was like watching a video game in real life. But here's the thing. Even though Saquon was thriving, the Giants weren't. Eli Manning was nearing the end, the offensive line was struggling, and the team as a whole was falling apart. Saquon was the only reason to even watch Giants games that year. Fantasy football players remember this well. If you drafted Saquon in 2018, congratulations, you probably won your league. But the bigger picture was clear. Saquon Barkley was one of the most electrifying rookies we'd ever seen. And that's why what happened next was so heartbreaking. Chapter 5, The Injury Years. In 2019, Saquon's production dipped slightly. He still put up over 1,000 rushing yards, but a high ankle sprain slowed him down. And then, in 2020, disaster struck. Week 2 against the Bears, torn ACL. Season over. This was the turning point. Because with running backs, injuries aren't just setbacks, they can completely change careers. Think about Todd Gurley, who went from MVP candidate to out of the league in just a few years. Or David Johnson, who had one monster season and never recaptured that same explosiveness. In 2021, Saquon came back, but he didn't look the same. The burst wasn't there, the confidence wasn't there, and the Giants were still a mess. People started to ask the question. Nobody wanted to ask, was 2018 just a flash in the pan? And this is where we get into the bigger conversation about the value of running backs. Because if you're the Giants, you spent the number 2 overall pick on a guy who, through no fault of his own, can't stay healthy. Was it worth it? Or should they have taken a quarterback instead? Let me ask you, if Barkley had been drafted by a team like the Cowboys, with that monster offensive line, or the Colts, who built their offense around running the ball, do you think his career would look completely different? Because sometimes it's not about the player, it's about the situation. Chapter 6, Redemption Season. Then came 2022, the comeback. Saquon was healthy, motivated, and finally had a coach in Brian Daboll who knew how to maximize him. He ran for over 1,300 yards, scored 10 touchdowns, and helped carry the Giants to the playoffs. And in the wild card game against the Vikings, Saquon was electric. 2 touchdowns, huge plays all over the field, and the Giants pulled off the upset win. For a moment, it felt like 2018 all over again. Fans were saying, Saquon is back. Analysts were ranking him among the top running backs again. And it felt like he had silenced the doubters, at least for now. Chapter 7, The Big Picture. How good, actually? So let's step back. How good was Saquon Barkley, actually? At his best, he's a top 3 running back in the NFL. No question. The rare kind of player who can beat you as a runner, as a receiver, and even in pass protection. The full package. But here's the problem. He hasn't always been at his best. Injuries, bad teams, and inconsistency have held him back. When you compare him to guys like Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, or Nick Chubb, all of whom have put together more sustained dominance, Saquon feels more like the highlight reel guy. The one who gave us unforgettable plays, but not always week-to-week reliability. So I'll throw it to you. If you had to start a franchise with one of these players at their peak, Barkley, McCaffrey, or Derrick Henry, who are you taking, and why? Because that's the debate. Chapter 8, Legacy and Future. Right now, Saquon's legacy is complicated. He'll be remembered for some of the most jaw-dropping highlights of his generation. He'll be remembered as one of the most talented backs to ever wear a Giants uniform. But will he be remembered as a Hall of Famer? That depends. If he can string together 4 or 5 more elite years, stay healthy, maybe win a Super Bowl, then yes, he has a shot. But if not, he might end up in that category of players we talk about with a sigh. But what if players? What if the Giants had built a real team around him? What if he had stayed healthy? What if he had played in a different era? Because let's be real, Saquon Barkley might have been born a decade too late. In the 90s or early 2000s, he would have been the centerpiece of an offense. In today's NFL, he's part of a position that teams see as replaceable. So, how good was Saquon Barkley, actually? The truth is, he was everything the hype promised, but only in flashes. At his peak, he was unstoppable. But the injuries, the timing, the situation, they all chipped away at what could have been. Still, for fans who watched him in 2018 and 2022, those moments will never be forgotten. And who knows, maybe Saquon still has another chapter left to write. But now I want to hear from you. Do you think Saquon Barkley will go down as an all-time great? Or will he be remembered as one of the most talented players who never fully delivered? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives, and share this with that one friend who still thinks running backs don't matter.